Hi folks, I'm Tim. Welcome to the Restoration Couple. In today's video, we're going to be looking at method 3 of making our shaker doors. So stick around and I'll show you how we get on. Okay, build 3. So far, we looked at how to do a shaker door in a traditional style, solid wood throughout with a tenon and groove. Yesterday, we looked at making loose tenon shaker door. So the tenons are not built in. That was only involved one router bit setup. And we made some bigger doors, smaller doors, doors everywhere. Today, we're looking at making 2 very simple little doors. And these are going to use a pocket hole jig. Now those of you who watch the channel know that I've used this on quite a few things, especially when we did the camper van build out, and also when I've made some cupboards and carcasses for other projects around the house, but I haven't tried doors, so let's see how this works. Now for those of you who might not be familiar with the pocket hole jig or a pocket hole setup, this is just a super steep angled hole here, and everything's set up for the thickness of the wood you're working with. In this case, these are 18mm. This bit of scrap MDF is also 18mm, and that's just going to show how it works. So you butt the 2 up together and clamp them so the faces are completely flush with each other, and then using a pocket hole screw, which basically has a slightly widened head, a flat head, it sits on the flat bottom of this hole, which is created using a step bit like this, which leaves that little kind of a round flat surface inside, and it clamps things pretty tight. It's a great way of making up boxes, carcasses and drawers. I've never tried it on doors before, but there's no reason why this shouldn't work pretty efficiently. One thing we will want to do is just make sure that where we've got our join here, we're going to be coming in and making a rebate later, so we're going to make sure our screw is not too close to the edge here. First job for today's build is to make sure we've got all of our good faces pointing upwards. We've gone through and planed and thicknessed all this rough timber, and there's a little bit of variation on the side, so I'm just picking my very best side to be the front. Also, now we're ready to drill, we want to mark up where our screws are going in so we don't make any mistakes. So our screws are going to be on the back side of this, and they're going to be going in from the rails into the stiles. So I'm going to flip one over at a time and just make a mark like that. So the options for the drilling are you get a little pocket hole jig box. This is a smaller version of this, which you clamp on the end and just drill in loose. Or in our case, we're going to use it as a kind of bench mounted version, which is this one, and I will leave a link to both options down in the description. Now we want to make sure we're drilling with our lines towards us. We also made a mark showing the inside where the panel's going to be. So like I said earlier, we don't want these screws to be within 10-15mm of the edge here. So there we go, that is our first one done. You just need a pair of these per door in a shaker style door. Right, now we've done that, we're straight onto construction phase. So unlike the method yesterday where we were cutting all the grooving, we had to process it all through the router table, we are literally just going to butt everything up and screw. In these, all we're simply doing is just butt jointing them together. So all we need is 8 screws on each door screwed in for our frame. Right, bit by bit, I'm gradually getting a hold on organising the workshop. So the pocket hole screws for 18mm thickness timber, you want to be looking at these screws here, which are, so 3/4 inch material, screw length is 1.25 inches, so 32 mil. The two differences here are one's got a fine thread and one's got a coarse thread. If you were doing your frames in MDF, then it's probably best to use that coarse thread, whereas for the solid wood like we're using now, we'll just use the regular ones. And then the last thing to do is to make sure you've got something solid and flat to help with the clamping. If you're not fortunate enough to have a nice big assembly table which is perfectly flat, and you're not dealing with a plastic trestle table like me, then simply a piece of MDF like this, or a kitchen worktop, or something that you know is completely flat is all you need. So we're looking at the back side here, and we've made sure that we've got all of our numbers and our markings facing down. That is the face where, when we've got everything clamped and screwed, we want this to definitely be smooth, because that's the bit we're going to see, that's the bit we're going to paint. So I'm going to glue these as well. Some people don't even bother with glue with these pocket hole joints, but it can't hurt. Of course, we're not gluing side grain to side grain, so the glue side of things isn't particularly strong, being that we're gluing end grain here, but it's better than nothing. The strength is really coming from that angled screw. So we've got that all clamped up, nice and flat to the surface there. You can see how tight it pulls it, just squeezes out that glue. So there we go, nice and smooth on the front. Tiny bit of sanding needed, but not much. All of our fixings in on the back, and pretty solid, no need for clamping. That's one of the huge benefits of going this route. There we go, there's door one. Really quite simple to do that. And the nice thing is we always know it's going to be completely flush on the front. We're not relying on the grooves matching up perfectly with the tenons. In this case, where we had some below par thicknessing going on, there's actually a step of 1 millimeter or 2 between these two. It's all on the back, and this is a drawer front, so we can pretty much get away with that. All right, see how long it takes to do the next one. And hey presto, that's it. It is a very, very easy way to make joints, and people will argue it's lazy or that it's not as strong as other methods, but when it's for aesthetics like this or very light structural use, I mean, nothing really beats it. And also, if you don't have clamps, which until very recently I had hardly any clamps, I wouldn't have been able to make the doors like yesterday. This is such an easy way to go. A couple of things. One is we've got holes on the back here. Now, this is fine because we're actually going to have a drawer box that this is going to be attached to. That said, the top ones will probably be visible, so we need to fill those, and we'll do that now. So to fill those holes, you can get these pre-machined dowels or kind of pegs, and they're profiled in a way that they will fill that hole. And then if we need to, we can do a little bit of filler before we paint. You can just use the correct size dowel and then flush trim them afterwards if you only have a few to do, or you don't want to buy a pack of these. But of course, once these go in, there's no chance you're getting those screws out. Now, all being well, these should remain a little bit proud once they're in, because then we can go back, sand it completely smooth and flush. Now, if there's any benefit to being impatient, if you start sanding these now, just carefully, you'll get a much better finish, because whilst the glue is a little bit tacky still, any sawdust that's created will kind of just smooth and fill that out. super speedy, and now we can get on to making the rebate in the back for our panel. So in yesterday's build, our panel was set in the groove, and if you haven't seen it yet, I will put a link to all those videos below. But basically all of our rails and stiles had a groove in which our 6mm panel would slide into. We could possibly have put our groove in here like the others and then just use the pocket holes as the join, but the methods would be quite similar. So what I've decided to do is construct it as a solid frame, like you would do if you were doing the border, the face frame, like on the cupboard before you put the door inside. That's how you do that part. But if we want to turn this into a door, then we're going to now need to run a groove in here, and we can't put a groove halfway in like in this one because we'd never get the panel in at this point. So what we're going to do is do a rebate instead, which will just kind of give us a notch all the way around that we can sit our panel into, a bit more like a picture frame. Now in order to do that, what we're going to be doing is using a rebate bit. What are we going to call this one then? Better find out before the trolls have me. Yep, a rebate bit, or a rabbit bit maybe if you're in the States. What this is a bit that has a bearing there which will ride against the inside of our frame, and then the blade is slightly thicker, which will allow a nice kind of deep rebate for it to sit in. Now one thing we want to do is make sure this is set the right height, so that if we were comparing it to one of the other doors from yesterday, that we had about 6mm or 1/4 of an inch showing on the visible side of the front of the door. And if you don't have a router, then tomorrow's video is our 4th method, and that is the easiest of all, and that will get you the same effect door. So that is how much of the frame I want visible from the underside. So I'm going to set that there, draw a line, which means we want our blade of the router bit to cut all of this out down to that line. Now you could also use the same bit in a router table, just the opposite way around, and in that case you'd be just trimming it from the other way and you'd need to work out the opposite. But I'm going to do it in hand, zip round, and then hopefully we're going to end up with a clean rebate. This is a fair amount to take off in one hit, so we're just going to go slow, but it's probably going to be dusty. Well, that made a right mess. I've let the dust settle. And now we need to look at how we're going to actually make this work. I've ended up with a bit of tear out there, which isn't ideal because that's on the visible side. Also, if your 2 pieces of timber aren't completely flat, the plate of your router will snag on there, which will result in this being different on the other side. So that's worth making sure that this is flat before you start. Also got the issue, which is all of our corners are rounded. So we've got 2 options. One is make our panel that sits in there. We'll just cut the corners off, sit it in, and then put a capping piece over. Don't really want to do that. So what I've gone in and done is just squared off all the corners with a chisel, so it's a bit neater. But if you were going to make them into doors, then this is where the pocket hole idea kind of lets you down, because you really need to then put a bit of trim over the inside to hold it all in place, or perhaps just a little bead on the inside. One option is just to match the depth of our rebate with the board. So in this case, this is some 12mm, and you could do that, and then you'd have to basically put a trim piece of sorts on there as a cover strip. It's a bit clumsy and a bit heavy and not ideal. Other option is to use the 6mm panel like we did on the others, and then that leaves you with a 6mm gap. So then you could put a bead in there. Or if you're using this as a picture frame, then you could use a tab gun, which is a bit like a stapler, and it shoots some tabs in there like you'd have on the back of the picture frame. Believe it or not, it's actually a week on now. I realised I hadn't shot an outro to this this particular episode, but here we go. Little fast forward. Everything's been painted. As you spotted, I used a slightly different panel. I had this stuff to use up, this kind of faux effect paneling. These are just for 2 little pullouts at the back of the camper van. For me, I think I'd stick to one of the other methods for the doors, but still stick with the pocket holes for the actual face frame, because that's worked really well in the past. But it's just not particularly refined, the actual back of this. I'm sure you could make it work, but there was still a little bit of hassle. That whole router, it was a bit of a mess. Anyway, the intention is to do a bit of a summary video comparing the 4 different methods at the end of this series. But before we do that, we've got one more episode to come, which is an MDF only, no clamps needed, no router needed, no nothing really. So that's going to be a super simple one. Hopefully I will get that up in the next day or 2, and then we can put this series to bed and move on to a new project. So thank you for watching. Any comments, stick them down below. But remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.